Easter's in full bloom at Whole Foods Market with great deals on spiral cut bone-in ham and leg of lamb, both crowd pleasers. Round out your spread with quiche, deviled eggs, and delicious catering platters from Prepared Foods. Oh, and remember to pick up a Whole Foods Market bunny cake from the bakery. Strapped for time? They cater too, with delicious options available without the effort. Find hundreds of Easter deals and delights now at Whole Foods Market.
This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In breaking news, leading scientists worldwide are conducting experiments to determine if Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. However, it appears the study was inconclusive, as the scientists couldn't help but eat all the Reese's. Because when you want something sweet, you can't do better than Reese's. Find Reese's now at a store near you.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
This episode is brought to you by Hyperice, the leader in advanced warm-up and recovery technology. They have tons of innovative products, like Venom-heated wearables to help soothe sore back muscles, Normatec compression boots to speed up recovery and increase circulation, and Hypervolt massage guns to improve mobility. Loved by athletes like Naomi Osaka and Erling Haaland. Try them yourself. Get 10% off your order with the code MOVE at Hyperice.com.
Back, everyone, to a part 2 of the Penscast Mailbag for this week. This evening being March the 31st of 2024. The Penguins are off today and getting ready to continue their little road trip here. But in the meantime, we have part 2 of our Mailbag. Part 1 is out, and if you have not listened to it, go ahead and give it a listen real quick. We need them views. We need them numbers. And as you can see tonight, unlike Monday, it is just Snail and I this evening, as Garrett is, I believe, working. So before we get started, Snail, it's Thursday. It's almost the weekend. How you doing?
Doing well. We've had such a spectacular week out here in the Pacific Northwest. It felt like summer was here. But woke up today and it's classic Seattle overcast. Cold, heading into like a 10-day span of what looks like just rain and gloom. So other than that, Penguins are still in this race, I would say. It's going to be a really, if you're a Penguins fan, probably a tumultuous and stressful last 14, 15 games here. And not really, I don't know if I'm looking forward to it so much right now, but playoffs are right around the corner. You can smell it in the air right now, can't you, Robbie? It smells like playoff hockey. It smells like baseball is going to start soon. We all know they're getting to work down there in Arizona and in Florida, or wherever your respective teams may have spring training. So it's kind of an interesting time of year right now. But hey, warmer weather's around the corner, and playoff hockey is as well. And that's good. That's good enough for me for things to look forward to.
Yeah, it certainly is that time of year. It has been a little on the chillier side, so it's more like a little kind of mid-season hockey weather in this neck of the woods. right now, but it was last week at least. It felt like baseball, playoff hockey, but took a little bit of a fallback. But yeah, we are entering the final stretch of games here, and the Penguins, you're pretty much at the do or die time now.
Oh God! I mean, if it feels like every week, every month of this whole season, have we not just been beating that drum since October?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, well, this is going to be a big month for the Penguins. See how they start. Well, big rebound month in November. Let's see how they do. December. This is make or break time. It's playoff hockey in January, and here we are. It's really been a trying season as a Penguins fan, being middling around in this kind of gray area, I guess you could call it. They're really not looking like a contender, as we've all witnessed, but they're also not just like rolling over and dying either. Like, there's a lot of players on this team that seem to already be planning for summer, and then you got Sid, who is willing to drag this carcass into the playoffs. It's interesting. I would say it's tough. I don't know what word you would use to describe it, but every game, it's either every win. Like I had quoted Frank Costanza earlier a couple weeks ago. I want to become hopeless. It's almost easier to become hopeless at this point, but every win instills just a little flickering flame of hope. And I don't know if that hurts me more than, in the moment, it's a little dopamine burst. You're like, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
If they can just keep this rolling, baby. And then the next game, they don't play defense, and there's only 2 players on the whole roster that show up, and you just say, can we just fold this in and just shut down all the vets? And I don't know. So that's where I'm at, Robbie. I know that I have to assume you feel similarly. We're not. What did Garrett call it for Celebrini? Jackin' for Macklin?
Yeah, we're not going to call it that. That's really weird. No offense.
No, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not partaking in said activity, but we all know that's what Garrett's doing right now.
Apparently, yeah.
Well, let's get into some questions, shall we? I'll read off question 1 for you here. Garrett's questions. He's been so kind as to write in his answers for what would be his questions. Robbie, why don't you take the first one and we'll rotate after that. So question 1 is coming from a longtime friend of the pod, Brian. Brian asks, does Pittsburgh get a PWHL team when they do their first expansion? Judging by the turnout, which I heard was a phenomenal turnout, a sellout crowd in Pittsburgh. Judging by the turnout, I wouldn't be surprised. Where are you at, Robbie, with this women's league that's taking hockey media by storm? It's been an immediate success. Where are you at with it? And are you hoping for an expansion team coming into your backyard in Pittsburgh?
Based on what I read on Sunday and just seeing the crowd of that game and knowing the Penguins work with the women's game, I'd have to say that they are on an expansion short list at the very least. I don't know what an expansion list would look like for the PWHL. I'm assuming they want to get more of a footprint in Canada as well, but Pittsburgh is definitely going to be on a short list, if not the first round of expansion, at least the second, all depending on how many teams they try to bring into the league. But the attendance on Sunday was absolutely phenomenal. The Penguins have done so much for the women's game and bringing the women's game to Pittsburgh. They've hosted USA-Canada games. They've done so much to kind of bring that sport to the forefront that they're absolutely going to be on a short list for expansion. And I'd say that they're a no-brainer slam dunk to be the host of PWHL team here in the very, very near future. Question number 2, going over to Snail here. This one is also from, as we mentioned, longtime friend of the pod, Brian. What's one thing you could eat every day for the rest of your life? Brian says his is Chipotle.
Brian's tugging on my heartstrings because that's what I would say too. I think I could eat Chipotle I could eat that monstrosity of a burrito that they concoct for you with their various salsas and their fresh veggies, and I get the veggie protein option there. I forget. I'm spacing on. It's called like soy something. It's essentially like a soy mock meat. I could crush one of those, if not multiple, daily. I've never been tired of Chipotle. I don't know what it is. Have you ever had Chipotle, Robbie?
Yep. Yeah, I like Chipotle.
Have you had those? Their tortilla chips that have the lime salt on them?
Just their standard ones, or they like a special one?
Maybe every time I get their chips, it tastes like they have lime on them. It's like a lime chip.
Maybe it's very faint, but I was there not that long ago, and I don't remember anything on the menu like that. Again, it might be very faint, but they do have. I mean, their chips are very good.
So good. Their guac good. Yeah. Even if you're not getting like a main course from there, lots of little treats and stuff you can get from there. And I think we've kind of debated this before. Is Chipotle fast food?
I think they do move fast. I will say they move faster than some places that I would call fast food. In my opinion, I would qualify them as fast food. I don't think it's so much on the quality of the food as it is on, I guess it's kind of just the format. Like you go up to the counter, you order it. I mean, if Subway's fast food, doesn't Chipotle have to be fast food?
See, that's what I'm thinking, because it's like they're constructing it right in front of you like a Subway, and Subway is certainly fast food. But I've gone to like Burger King, for example, and or Taco Bell. The last couple times I've gone to Taco Bell, I pull up to the window and make my order, and it's not like I'm ordering an insane amount of food. I definitely I get my money's worth from there, but they always tell me, can you please pull up and park and we'll bring it out to you, and it takes like 10 or 15 minutes sometimes, where Chipotle, it's in and out 6 minutes max, even if there's a line, because they keep that thing a moving. So
they are very efficient.
They're very efficient, delicious food. So Chipotle. Robbie, what about you? If you could eat one thing the rest of your life, what would you be crushing?
So I'm guessing he means by a brand here. I was gonna say like I could eat pizza every day, just if I could just change the.
I think that counts.
Yeah, I mean, I could eat pizza every day as long as I could rotate like my establishment. I don't know if I could eat just one establishment. I mean, Chipotle is really, I do like Chipotle. Again, I don't know if I have the money to eat at Chipotle every day for the rest of my life. But if I could eat pizza and change up the establishment every day for the rest of my life, I would do that, because I love pizza. Pizza is one of my top 3, maybe top 2 foods. So yeah, pizza would be my answer.
I love pizza too, man. It's one of those things where you can it's the toppings. You can really shake up what kind of pizza you're eating. You can pretty much have pizza that almost feels like you're eating a salad on top, and then you can go the opposite direction and have nothing but cured meats on top of it too. You could have a barbecue style pizza where it feels like a hot summer evening and you got chicken fresh off the barbecue. Just for conversation's sake, what's one pizza establishment? Like, what is your pizza establishment? Is it like a Domino's or something, or do you have a local establishment that you go to for maybe like that classic bar pizza or a deep dish, or what kind of pizza is your number one out there in Pittsburgh?
So if I had to go to one, there is a family-owned restaurant in a small town about 10 minutes from me. It has like a full menu. They have a full menu, but they're known for their pizza. It's a little Italian place. It's called D'Arcangelo's. They like if I had to pick one establishment, that's where I'd want my pizza to come from, because again, a variety of pizza, like you said, so many different toppings. They have a great full menu as well. But they have a bar, like you can go there, you can sit down with some friends, have some beers, order a couple trays, and just hammer them back and be completely satisfied. So if I like chain pizza too. I do not discriminate. Like, I understand that places like Papa John's and Domino's are kind of looked down upon, buddy. That's pizza.
Dude, come on. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I will eat anything.
Domino's is really nostalgic to me too. Like growing up, do you know how many like sleepovers and like football games or sporting events or like just, Friday night after high school and you go home and you have your buddies over and you order 3 pizzas from Domino's and those little cinnamon bites they have and you just go to town. Before drinking was really a thing with your friends, before you learned about the immaculate buzz that you can get from alcohol, you used to get buzzed off of Domino's pizza and cinnamon bites.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
All right, I'm getting hungry. We will move on.
Yeah.
Why don't you take question 3 here? Going
all
over
right.
to Garrett.
This one's from Brian, and Garrett did submit a response for this one, but Brian asked, I just want it to be known if anything happens to me, it's Garrett's doing. Fair. He's threatened to ban me from asking questions, threatened legal action, even hinted at mob violence toward me. Garrett says, let it be known that before I go 6 feet underground, I will be sure to watch you sleep with the fishes. That sounds like a threat. Better keep your head on a swivel, Sonny. A metal baseball bat to your knees and your mail delivery career is over. That definitely sounds like a threat. So, Brian, I mean, just watch your back. Sleep with one eye open, I guess. I guess Garrett was, when he wrote these up, was feeling a little feisty. Now, again, Snail, I know you've never met Garrett in person. I have. Brian, I don't think you have, but he's not very tall. So, like, I mean, you could do like a stiff arm and probably keep him away. Garrett's not, again, I'm not saying that I'm tall. I just know Garrett's not exactly, he is not as fearsome as he comes across in this answer. So, Brian, don't fear. You are safe. Garrett is probably not going to hurt you, just so you know.
So you're saying he's no Victor Wembanyama?
No, he's not even Steve Nash.
Oh wow. Is he would you think is he 5'10"?
No, he's probably like 5'6". He's tiny. He's a little run. He'd run.
He's a little guy.
We're gonna find out if he listens to these episodes.
And these threats will quickly be turned against us. We'll be in the same boat as Brian. Garrett's gonna walk away from this podcast and just go on full. What was that movie where the guy's like, "I will find you and I will kill you"?
Taken.
Yeah, he's gonna go Taken.
Full Liam Neeson. Yeah.
Full Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4 coming at you from Brian again. We're all going to be in witness protection. He asks here, has Robbie or Garrett ever been to the zoo for a Pitt basketball game? I know you're not Pitt fans, but the atmosphere when they are good looks electric. What is the zoo and what Pitt basketball?
Pitt, as in the University of Pittsburgh basketball, men's basketball. The zoo is the student section. I've been to a Pitt basketball game. I've never been in the student section. I did not go to Pitt, so not really my thing. But when they are good, the arena is electric, and the zoo is a big part of that. But just for the sake of this question, I have been to a Pitt basketball game. I am not a fan of Pitt, but I have been to some basketball games. Great atmosphere, but I've never had the opportunity to sit in the quote-unquote student section known as the zoo. Question number 5, Logan Cranky and Snail. Has Logan ever asked a question before? Is he a repeat?
Yes, I've heard. Okay. I've heard Garrett say his name before. I recognized it. Okay,
so Logan, we're gonna switch back to the hockey talk here. He has a pretty straightforward question for you, Snail. Who was your number 1 trade target for the Penguins in the offseason?
Well, this is interesting because I am constantly
clearly Connor McDavid, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe McDavid or Draisaitl.
Yeah. Maybe both.
Maybe if we could do a swap 1-for-1 for I don't know, somebody.
Ryan Graves. That sounds fair.
Ryan Graves. Yeah. Maybe Dubas just has an unbelievable knack of turning bad players into superstars like Erik Karlsson. But let's get realistic here. I've got a couple that I've pondered and I've really thought. And Robbie, I want you to chime in on this with me as well. So there's 2 teams that I'm looking at this offseason to wheel and deal with if I'm Kyle Dubas. If I'm in Kyle Dubas's shoes, these are the teams I'm picking up the phone and I'm massaging a trade with these guys. And you might like what I'm about to say. You may not like what I say. And I assure you that it's no shade to the players that I'm talking about that I'm willing to part with on the Penguins roster to acquire some youthful young players. That's what I'm targeting. I'm looking for young roster-ready players that can make a difference. And the Penguins have... The reason I also picked two of these teams is because these teams are loaded with young talent, but they don't have any veterans really. And they could probably use a good veteran pro that can still play. We're not talking Jeff Carter here. The first team that I'm picking up the phone and calling is I'm looking at what it would take to get a Trevor Zegras. I think Trevor Zegras has fallen out of favor a bit with the Anaheim Ducks. I think that their general manager, Pat Verbeek, and Trevor Zegras don't really... It's oil and water. Pat Verbeek was a little ball of hate, hence his nickname. He played the game a certain way. He manages that team, that roster. He's the GM there. He manages that team with a similar attitude. And I feel like they have their centers up the middle, their 1-2 punch up the middle with Mason McTavish, as well as this Leo Carlson kid they drafted over Adam Fantilli in this last year's draft. He's looking to be a stud, and he's not done growing. Apparently he's only going to get bigger and better. He's got amazing hockey sense. Trevor Zegras isn't a third line center, Robbie. He's he's a little flashy. I think he's a little bit into the TikTok. He's a little bit into the Michigan, as we all know. He kind of likes that viral side of he likes, I think he's one of those guys that likes the spotlight. This is what I'm thinking. I think he signed a contract for around $4 or $5 million a year. And I think he signed a bridge deal. And this year he's been hurt most of the year. They're not playing in the playoffs. You don't have to worry about him, continuing to injure himself on with these or make these injuries he has worse. I'll get to the point here in a second. So what I'm thinking is you get a guy like Trevor Zegras over to Pittsburgh with Sidney Crosby, and maybe you have a pro like Sidney Crosby really help this guy out and show him what it means to be a competitive, driven athlete that and instill in him some good habits and behavior. I'm looking at what it takes to pry him away. And I'm also, with these teams, I'm looking to pry away some muscle too. I want to get a young, good player, and then we'll take a goon off your team, or we'll take a bottom six guy that has some piss and vinegar and some grit. So with the Anaheim Ducks, I'm looking to pry away Trevor Zegras, and I'm looking to pry away former Islander Ross Johnston. If I'm looking at a trade with Anaheim, those are the two names that I'm looking to get. I don't care if it takes a Chris Letang. I think with these two trades, I'm looking at maybe what it's been romantic having this core together for so long, but as we saw this season, that it's just what happened in San Jose. It's exactly what I was worried about. It didn't work with Carlson and Letang. We've long called Reardon the Letang whisperer. Not happening this year. I think that that marriage is over, so to speak. I don't know if you can move Malkin. Malkin's not really having the worst year. I think we all can agree that the eye test, he looks like kind of a dog out there at the moment. I'd look at what it would take to pry away two players like that. And the other team that I'm looking to make a trade with in a similar boat is the Ottawa Senators. They've got a ton of young roster ready players, a lot of prospects. I'm looking what it would take to maybe pry away a guy like Jacob Bernard-Docker, young stud, future stud defenseman. And they got this younger guy, Mark Kastelik. I think he's a great fourth line center. He's a tough guy. They've also got a tough customer in Zach McEwen. I'm looking what it would take to get a Jacob Bernard-Docker away from them, a Shane Pinto, a Ridley Gregg, some young roster-ready player. They've got a feisty team, and I think that the Penguins need a little bit of youthful feistiness. Kids that don't have a ton of expectation, but they bring that competitiveness every day. I like what Ridley Gregg brings. I like what Shane Pinto brings. Just don't be gambling in the offseason and get yourself suspended for 50 games again. And then they got, like I'd mentioned, Zach McEwen or this Mark Kastelik kid. Give me one of those kids, throw them in, and maybe we can make a trade with one of our older pro veterans. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Throw in Dubas would know better than me how to make that work, but that's who I'm looking at. Robbie, please chime in.
Again, the one thing I've not looked too deeply into is what potential trade potential trade targets for this offseason. So I like the idea of Trevor Zegras, especially since I think he will be a movable piece. Anaheim in a rebuild, but still several steps away from seemingly taking that next step in this rebuild process. Zegras would look really good look really good out on the ice out there with the Penguins. Young, and again, a piece for right now and the future as well. Obviously, your untouchables like Leo Carlsson out there, which would be great, but I do not see that one happening. But I do like your idea on Zegras. I think he would bring a much needed boost of energy and future franchise building with him as well.
Totally. Yeah. And I think he's an East Coast kid. I think he's from New York. Bring him back over to the East Coast. I think he's like a U.S. hockey development guy too. I don't know if Sullivan's going to have a job with the Penguins next year. That's a whole nother debate for another podcast. But I think a young, moldable mind like Zegras with a kind of a coach that demands a lot out of you, like a Sullivan, that could be a great match going forward. I think having pros around like Letang and Sid can only benefit him. Zegras, I think he has a lot more to give in his game. I think he's good for about 60 points a year. Throw him in at second line center with I think he could only get better on a team like the Penguins with the veteran presence. So with that, those are my thoughts. Discuss amongst yourselves at home. And Brian, this was actually from Logan. Logan, tweet us. Who are you looking at in the offseason? Let's get some trade rumors going here and piss off all the fans because the Penguins aren't dead in the water yet. But yeah, a lot's coming this offseason, so it's a good conversation. Question number 6 here. This would be going to Garrett. I'll read this one off. This one's coming from Brian again. Did you guys give Girlfriends a listen, and what did you think if you did? This is regarding the band Brian suggested.
Yeah.
And Garrett says he did. I definitely liked a few of their songs on Spotify. California and Shut Up and Kiss Me were 2 of my favorites. I did not listen to them. I haven't given them a listen yet, but after this, I will remember to throw them on maybe when I'm cooking later. Robbie, did you listen to them? Nope. Well, Garrett did. That's all we got for that one.
Yeah.
California and Shut Up and Kiss Me. That does sound like a song Garrett would like. All right, Robbie, question number 7 coming from our friend across the pond, Kim Larson. After the trade deadline, who are your favorites for the conference finals and who will win it all?
Starting out east, I still like Florida.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In breaking news, leading scientists worldwide are conducting experiments to determine if Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. However, it appears the study was inconclusive, as the scientists couldn't help but eat all the Reese's. Because when you want something sweet, you can't do better than Reese's. Find Reese's now at a store near you.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Making it to the conference finals. Again, they'll be in a dogfight with Boston, I think, at some point. But I feel like they have been the best of that division just all season. In the Metro, I mean, I want that first-round pick, right? So I got to go Carolina. to make it out of that. I think they finally take that next step. I know they've been to the conference finals during this resurgence they've had, but I got to go with Carolina. I think they knock out the Rangers in a very long, drawn-out series where they just the trade for Gensel pays off. Let's put it that way. So give me Florida and Carolina out of the East in the final, and I'll still until I see something different, I got to stick with Florida. I know I want that first-round pick, but I got to stick with the Panthers until I see something different. The West, pick two names out of the hat, and that's who will be in the conference final. It's just an absolute mess. There's just so many good teams. You have 3 teams tied for first in the Central Division. Just a complete logjam everywhere you look. I guess if we are picking, give me Colorado and Edmonton. That would be an absolute unreal Western Conference final. I can't write off Vegas just because they're Vegas. And by the time the playoffs come around, they might look like a completely different team because they have like an entire roster of players currently on LTIR for the playoffs. I have to say, though, just looking at this, give me Edmonton and Colorado. What a series that would be, and give me the Avalanche making it to the final out of the West.
Out of the West, yeah, no, I think I agree with you. The East, I have no idea. I think Gensel's got like 5 points in 4 games or something. I think he's point per game this season. And then Florida, they look like they're just built for playoff hockey. I mean, like we saw last year, they're a bunch of, it's a team full of pricks that are all competitive and they stick up for each other. They're not going to be an easy out. Boston, I know that they're a tremendously well coached and all that, but when it comes to a playoff series, I just don't know if Charlie Coyle is a first line center. I know that Brad Marchand kind of has a little bit of sit in him, and he'll drag that team as far as they can possibly go with what he brings to the table. But I got to agree with you, Robbie. It's got to be, let's go Florida, Carolina, and out west. I feel like it's Vegas. They're clinging to a second wild card spot right now, I think. Could you imagine with all the moves and all the drama of the deadline if they don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean,
they're not a lock.
No, they're not. They're 4-6-0 in their last 10. They're really only 3 points clear. They do have some games in hand, so odds are they make the playoffs. But right now, they're looking at a best case scenario, a second wild card spot, and you'd have to go up against you're going to have to go up against a very good team. That team could range anywhere from Vancouver to any of the Central teams, any of Dallas, Colorado, or Winnipeg. And Edmonton's not out of that discussion yet. So a team that is going to have to fight, but sometimes fighting for that playoff spot pays off in the end because you're playing playoff hockey for a whole month ahead of time. So, again, they're not a good team away from Vegas. But, again, that experience from last year, they're going to be ready to go. They're not going to be an easy out. I would not want to play them in the first round, but I mean, they're in that position this year. They have not been quite as good. Again, it's tough to repeat. Can't fault them for that. But, yeah, they're going to have a tough out in the first round regardless of who they play because right now they look like they're going to be in that second wild card spot.
Yeah, the West is heavy this year. A lot of favorites in the West, so not going to be easy at all. I also love that. I feel like the whole entire league, besides maybe Vegas fans, everyone's rooting against them because of the shenanigans that they seem to pull off every year, operating within the rules. But yeah, if you look at the list of times Mark Stone goes off for LTIR, there seems to be a bit of a pattern there. I don't think Mark Stone's coming back. I think that spleen injury, people think that this is kind of like a smoke and mirrors. He's going to be ready. That takes a long time. I've never had a lacerated spleen, but I know that's a serious one. I don't think you're going to go play hockey.
It's not a little different than like a sprained ankle or something,
or a broken foot or something, or a broken finger. We're
talking organs.
Yeah, those take a while to heal. So in a vulnerable area in your body too. So. Anyways.
All right. Question number 8 here for Snail, and then we are going to our German friend Andreas Castle for this one. He says the best from Haribo are the Gold Baron, We always have them at home. I also love the Colorado. That sounds like something you buy at a dispensary.
It does.
Fun fact, Haribo is an acronym of the founder's name and his hometown, Hans Regelbahn.
Hans Regelbahn.
Hans Regelbahn. We're going to do the rest of this podcast in German accents.
I couldn't even do that. My jaw.
I could already. Hans Regelbahn. Making the Gold Baron.
The Gold Baron. That sounds like a delicious beer, but it's Haribo.
It does
you learn you learn something new every day. I had no idea. I thought Haribo was Mexican. Like I thought it was like a Mexican candy.
Yeah. But Colorado definitely sounds like something you buy at a dispensary and has more than just gelatin in it.
Oh yeah. Do you guys have dispensaries out there in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we have medicinal out here.
It's not recreational yet?
Not recreational, yeah. There's a big push for it, and I figure in the next 2-3 years it'll be recreational. It's been a coup for the state just on a medicinal scale. We have, and it's just a big push, and it's like even a bipartisan big push. It's not just a one side of the aisle.
It's not just the liberals wanting it.
No, there's enough. I mean, again, everybody, like, weed is definitely bipartisan. Weed. It gets a vibe for being liberal, but it's definitely
because growing up it was like associated with hippies and.
I mean, you live in Seattle; it's basically just grows on trees out there.
Right? No, it was medicinal legal back when. Was first like back in like 2010 or something like that.
Yeah,
and then
Washington was one of the very early adopters. That in Colorado.
Yep, and Portland was soon after them. Yep. So, but yeah, I was curious because Colorado sounds like
absolutely
like a gummy you'd buy that definitely would send you to the moon and back. But
you could taste, you'd be able to like smell color.
Yeah, smell color exactly. Good. That gave us a good laugh. Thanks for the. I have a little trivia question or a little trivia in my back pocket now for the next time I see someone eating Haribo. I'm gonna be like, "Have you guys heard of Hans Regelbahn?"
You just have that's the only thing you say in a German accent is his name. Everything else is just in your normal.
Yeah,
English.
Normal accent, and then that comes out with the full force of All right, moving on here.
Right,
I think this one's yours for.
Yeah, this is This is from Kim Larson, also another good time, long time listener, long time question asker. Do you think there will be a total rebuild next season? If not, do you think it's wise to wait? Garrett's little red type here says, I don't think a quote-unquote total rebuild will happen for probably 2 more seasons, give or take. While I think Sidney Crosby will be on this roster for part of that rebuild, I don't necessarily think it will be as bad or dark as some say, or some remember, like the X Generation teams. Garrett, you don't remember the X Generation teams. The Penguins will struggle. Their time to pay the piper was bound to come, but they will find another franchise cornerstone that I am sure of. And yeah, I mean, I think we all are kind of on the same track with that, but the time has come, and hopefully we get at least, again, I would love one more playoff run out of this era, but again, beggars can't be choosers, and we're spoiled beyond belief. So, we'll see. I guess we'll see how things go this summer and go from there.
Wait, what? The X Generation teams?
Yeah, that's what like the era between Lemieux, Yager, and the Crosby, Malkin era. That was literally their like branding.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very weird time. It was very, let's put it this way. It was a very early 2000s branding. Like,
yeah, that's when like you first drafted Fleury. That's when like Bugsy Malone was like the blue chip prospect.
Yeah, right? Like him and Orpik were like your blue chip prospects.
Right.
And yeah, it was, and Marty Straka and Alexei Kovalev were winding down their time here. They were not good teams, but you could get to a game for like $20, if that.
Nice.
And it was it was just nice to be inside the building. It was not good. I do not wish it on anyone, but hey, it prospered into what we have now, so I can't complain too much.
are Owen Pickering and Braden Yeager our Brooks Orpik and Bugsy
that would be
Malone?
something. Trust me, if that is what starts this rebuild, and then we get a generational talent of
In
like a
8
Crosby,
years?
yes, I will take it. I will
Yeah.
take it.
I think I would too. All right, question number 10 coming at you from our buddy Kim Larson. I believe he's from Denmark, and this question will kind of be on brand for that. He says, I would test Winnipeg for Nikolai Ehlers, a fantastic Danish player, I believe. He is lightning fast, has a great shot, and can score goals. Put him with Sid, and he will produce a ton.
Yeah, Ehlers is definitely an interesting name to pop up here.
Didn't JR almost make that happen?
Who knows? He almost made a lot of stuff happen.
That's true, but I swear I remember there was a year he was like,
Yeah.
the rumors for Ehlers to Pittsburgh was prominent.
Because I think Ehlers for a while there was like one of those guys that like he was probably going to get a bridge deal. You probably weren't going to be able to sign him to the extension that he was worth, and Winnipeg was able to make it work. And I don't know what the situation is with Winnipeg after this season. So it'll be interesting to see what the Penguins do here exactly. So Ehlers is an interesting name. I know he's kind of he's kind of lukewarm with that fan base up there. He has his moments. They love him. He has his moments. They hate him. Kind of like a Chris Letang type vibe with the Penguins. Sometimes he drives you crazy, but other times he makes you jump out of your seat. So Ehlers is a different, interesting name. I don't know what the asking price would be, but I think there's going to be, with this cap going up this offseason, there's going to be some pretty interesting trades this summer. So a lot to keep an eye on.
Yep, I agree.
Sticking with Kim for Snail's question here, number 11, would you quote unquote give up on the rest of the season to get a better draft pick?
No, I don't think so. I just don't think that. I think I'd kind of gone over a few prospects that are, they're probably going to go in the top 10. They're great players and all. Like they're good. The draft this year is just not. It's not what it was even like last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I just think that with where the Penguins are, even if they, I don't know if I would say I'm ready to give up, because I think, like we kind of touched on earlier, this hope that the Penguins give me every other game or so, they're still in this race. And it's unfortunately with how this team is playing and kind of where they're at with as a team altogether, it's like they're just destined to kind of be in that middle, like where they're not going to get a top 10 pick and they're not going to get, they're not at a place where they're trading their first rounder. It's just kind of their fate right now, I think, to be like that. I think even if they, when you have a guy like Sidney Crosby as competitive as he is, Malkin, although he doesn't look it at times, extremely competitive. Letang, extremely, extremely competitive players. It's in their blood. You're not going to get these guys to go out there and play half-ass. I mean, Malkin maybe more so than the other two, but you're not going to convince those two players, even if it looks bleak, if the percentages say that, you might as well just roll over and die. You're not going to get that from these guys. It's kind of, it's a double-edged sword where even if you wanted to tank and be in the conversation for a top 5 pick, Crosby's going to keep doing his thing out there regardless. He's not going to let up. So like I said, I think it's just kind of the Penguins' fate right now that they're going to be kind of picking that middle, probably another 17, 16, 15, 18, 19, probably picking somewhere in there in the first round. I wouldn't be too surprised. So, Robbie, what about you? You want them to roll over and die and get a little bit for the chances of a little bit better draft pick, or are you looking at it kind of the same way I am?
I think they should do enough that they have a decent shot at that 10th over, that staying in the top 10. I think if they can do enough to keep that top 10, I'm not saying again it's too late to tank for the number one or the best odds for the number one overall. That's going to be like San Jose or Chicago or someone. But I mean, I think if they can do enough to stay in that 8 to 10 range and hold on to that pick, is probably my ideal situation right now.
Yeah, I would agree too. Something like that. I just don't think that there's any way you're getting like a top 3 pick, no matter how you play out the rest of the season.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, question number 12, coming from Andreas Castle, and this would be going to Garrett. Which movie have you seen the most? And Garrett says, for me, it's probably Star Wars A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back. Diehard Star Wars fan for sure. Basically, it was my whole childhood and one of the only things I get excited about today. Yeah, nerd. We all know, nerd. Garrett is a huge Star Wars guy. If you haven't figured that out by now and you've been listening to this podcast, then you probably haven't been listening too closely. He puts on Star Wars soundtracks while he works. I saw him tweet something the other day. There's some Star Wars thing coming out, and he had all sorts of emojis indicating his undying love and passion for the Star Wars franchise. Robbie, what's a movie you've seen the most, you think?
I'd have to say probably, I mean, I watched The Dark Knight a lot. I love The Dark Knight. The Godfather, I've seen a whole bunch. I was really big, or I still am. I really love the Jason Bourne movies, and they're on TV like all the time. So I don't even necessarily watch them. Like I'll have them on just to have them on, and I'll just kind of listen to them because I know them so well. What else? I'm a big TV show guy too, so I've watched like Friends, How I Met Your Mother multiple times over, more so than even movies. But I'd put Lord of the Rings in there too, but when I do Lord of the Rings, I have to do all 3. I can't just watch one. I have to do the whole trilogy. I can't just watch one.
Right. Yeah. I've never watched The Godfather.
Oh, The Godfather is fantastic. I love The Godfather.
I think the movie I've seen the most is probably the first Jurassic Park.
Okay, that's I could, yeah.
I just watched it so much as a kid. Also, like, I don't know. I have like when I was a little kid, I was super into Godzilla too. There's like a specific Godzilla movie that I watched so many times.
Godzilla -1.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Was it as good as what they say?
Oh, it redefines Godzilla movies.
Okay.
I love the old Godzilla movies. I have a stack of VHSs that have just been ran through since I was like 8 or 9 years old. And then they've kind of come out with these newer Godzilla movies. The Godzilla that came out in like 2000, what was it, 18 or something like that. And then they came out with the Godzilla. They came out with Kong, and then they've sort of married those two. They've kind of I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I'm not a Marvel guy, but they're kind of doing with Godzilla what they did to Marvel. I can just see them pumping out these movies, bring on the next new enemy kind of movie. But I'm such a fan. The 9-year-old, 8-year-old in me is just jumping for joy every time I see a new trailer for one. But Godzilla -1, there was a movie prior to that called Shin Godzilla, which I thought kind of redefined Godzilla movies, and I was all for it. I loved it. I've watched that one quite a few times. Godzilla -1 is just phenomenal. It's if you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. Even if you're not a monster movie fan, is it called a double entendre? Is that when something kind of has like 2 meanings?
Yeah.
So it's definitely got the monster movie aspect to it, but really what it is it's kind of talking about it's a metaphor for what Hiroshima, how it affected Japan, and it's just a beautiful movie. It's so good. So anyways, probably a Godzilla movie I've watched a ton, or you know what movie I have watched a lot? I don't know if this necessarily counts as a movie, but the 2016 Penguins Cup recap, the season recap. It's like
that's always good, yeah.
It's like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that, and they just talk about JR acquiring Phil Kessel, and they talk about acquiring Trevor Daley, and they talk about, it goes into like how Ben Lovejoy was a big piece, and Matt Murray and Sullivan coming up. I watched that all the time. I've watched that so many times. If I had a VHS for it, it would probably have been burned through the tape. So Jurassic Park, name a Godzilla movie, Penguins Cup recap. Those ones that, or the 2009 one. Watch that one a hell of a lot too.
Yeah,
those are probably my those are my like comfort movies that I put on the most. And with that, any last things you want to say about movies?
Nope.
All right, moving on to question 13, going over to Robbie from Andreas Castle again. Would Gino's contract count against the salary cap if he chose to hang up the skates? And I want to add in there, or what if he went back to Russia?
Don't really know what the stipulations are on that. Retirement, since it's a plus 35 contract, there's also different aspects of that as well. I think that is a fully guaranteed contract and would probably hit against the cap, though I don't know if there's options to spread it out or what can be done exactly. So I'm not the salary cap wizard to ask on that. Might have to do some research on that and maybe come back later this week with a full answer on that one, because the plus 35 implications add in another twist that we don't often deal with normal contracts. Question number 14 from Kim, going over to Snell here. Why are people messing with pizza? So pizza with beef fillet and béarnaise sauce is an absolute banger.
I can't speak to this whatsoever. What is béarnaise sauce and what is a beef fillet? Also, quickly, just to touch on the last one really quick, I Googled it. So what happens to a player while retiring under contract? This happened to Ryan Kessler, who got a career-ending hip surgery.
Oh, okay.
Rarely will a player retire while still under contract. Usually they will just stop playing due to an injury and be placed on LTIR for the remainder of their contract, which they are getting that money. If they actually retire, that's leaving money on the table. And Gino, he loves his Gucci and he loves his, his sports cars. If he were to retire amidst his contract, he's not guaranteed any of that money.
Oh, okay.
The plus 35 contract, I don't really know if that adds any, like you'd mentioned, any extra stipulations there, but it seems as though if he's under contract and he retires, he's leaving money on the table, as they say. So back to the
béarnaise sauce is for steaks. It is a sauce made of butter, egg yolk, white wine vinegar, and herbs.
Okay, so is that like an aioli?
Yeah, aioli's mayo. So,
but ayo is made with egg whites, is it not?
Oh yeah, so it's very definitely egg whites. This is egg yolk, so it has a yellow.
So it has
yellow. A yellow, not very, because it's not a very dark yellow, but the white wine vinegar and the herbs would definitely give it more of a, I would say, an acidic taste, but nothing. The butter and egg yolk would also kind of cancel that out as well. But it really looks like a cream sauce. It literally looks like you'd make it with like milk. But again, that's why you have butter, I guess. But I think it's just basically a topping for steak, which again, of all the vile pizza combinations we've been getting in the mailbag, this is one that at least does not make me cringe or repulse quite as badly as some of the others. So I will allow this one, Kim, and I'll take your word for it.
A beef fillet, is that just like a sirloin?
I think it's a sirloin but cut up.
A sirloin but cut up.
I mean, I hope they're not just slapping a sirloin on there and being like, "Here you go."
Yeah, good luck eating that. So yeah, basically this is just like a fine dining steak dinner on top of a pizza.
Basically, yeah.
That's honestly not that egregious compared to
some of the stuff.
Yeah, we don't really need to go into them too much because I still haven't fully recovered from some of those. But I think there was one with tuna on it that we had on here that I didn't know how to really react to that. So we will move on.
Yeah, 15. Question 15. Last but not least, we're going back to Andreas here. This question was for Garrett, and he asked Garrett, "What is your dream car?" Garrett just says he's not much of a car person. As long as it has the safety features I desire, and as long as it gets me from A to B, I will drive it. Lame. I would say a Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't know. I you know what? I was actually talking about this not that long ago. When I was young, I was my dream when I was maybe like 12 or 11 is I wanted to play college baseball. I wanted to play for the Texas Longhorns, and I wanted to drive a old school Bronco.
Oh yeah, my grandpa had an old school Bronco.
I wanted to drive a Bronco, and if I couldn't make it in the major leagues, I wanted to go to Venezuela and play my pro career there, or in Mexico. So at 11 years old, I had it all thought out. This was my plan, but I remember specifically being like, I want to pull up to the ballpark in a dope old Bronco, real Southern style. You know, I'm not really a fan of the South, but, you know, I've seen some cool Broncos in movies and stuff, and I'm like, give me that.
I got you.
Maybe slightly lifted, maybe a nice like a red or a deep blue on it.
Yep.
Sign me up for an old school, a gas guzzler. I think on here we've talked about cars before, and I've mentioned my love for, if I were to go something the responsible route, I'd probably go for like an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
But if we're really talking here, what's a dream car? Take me back to when I was 11 and give me that Bronco.
Hey, I again, the Broncos, I know the new Broncos came out, and people love them, and the old time Broncos have such a unique and special look. I really can't blame you on that one. The old Broncos are sweet. I will say that.
Yeah, super sweet, super cool.
All right, ladies, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's it.
That is 15 questions up, 15 questions down, 30 for the week. So again, we thank you guys for participating on Twitter and getting your questions to us to give us something to record about. As for future content, Penguins Friday and Sunday, it's going to get bad, folks. We got Dallas and Colorado on the docket this weekend, so Snail and I will be back at some point with our recaps for those games. Mailbag, obviously, the tweet will go out on Sunday, so look for that. Get your questions in again. As always, it'll probably be 2 parts, but that's all I got. I will toss it over to my buddy Snail, co-host Snail, to wrap us up and take us into the weekend.
Yep, a couple of tough hockey games coming up for the Penguins. I think what we're asking here is just bear with us here. We don't know how this season is going to play out. We all know that the Penguins are not dead in the water. There still is a race for that final wild card. The standings will shift, I believe, quite a bit. It's going to be up and down these last 15 games or so. Hit us with your hot takes. Hit us up on Twitter. We put the mailbag out once a week, but we're pretty interactive with whoever comes calling our way. Let's talk hockey. Let's talk Penguins, where the state of the team is. We love to entertain those conversations and bring them up on the pod. If it's really juicy, maybe we'll save it and bring it up when we're doing a mailbag or something. But yeah, it's going to be a wild ride towards the end, and a wild ride could mean we're buckle up because the Penguins could be finding themselves in a playoff spot, or buckle up because we could all be, drowning our sorrows here. If they really soil themselves, we could be drowning ourselves with beverage of choice because the season very well could be over prematurely. So they're still in it. We got a big challenge here coming up with Dallas and Colorado, but like we've been saying all year, the Penguins could either get absolutely blown out or they could play up to their competition and end up, you never know. They could walk away spanking a team. So that's all I got. I think that's all Robbie had.
That's all I got.
We'll be back with another mailbag coming out on Tuesday. Robbie and I will figure out some way or another with the Central games that they're playing here. We'll get a game recap and talk about the action. Until then, enjoy these games. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We will talk to you again very soon. For Robbie Noggle, I am Snail. Smell you later.